Hello, and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Zach Kazan. I am the editorial director at Worn and Wound. This is the last podcast of the year. If you're listening to this on the day it drops, it is December 31st, which means we made it to the end of 2025.
Barely.
What better way to celebrate than doing a Q&A episode, our last of the year. So many Q&A episodes this year. I'm joined today by Kat Shoulders and Liam O'Donnell from the media team. Kat, Liam, how are you doing?
Great. Yeah.
We're good.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, no, listen, this is, I literally cannot think of a better way to end the year. We really leaned into these Q&As this year. We did them pretty regularly, about once a month. So it's only fitting that we're ending 2025 with another audience Q&A episode. These are great because I never know what the questions are by design. So very little prep involved for me. That's why I really like these podcasts.
That's why, exactly.
Yeah. I can just sign in, set up the mic. We're good to go. Liam, have you been on a Q&A episode yet? Or
I don't think so. No, I think this is my first one.
Well,
Get
welcome.
ready.
Yeah, welcome.
Got some fun ones today.
What a way to end the year. My goodness, this is going to be great. All right, before we get into the questions, let's do a quick wrist check. Kat, what are you wearing today?
I have got my Christopher Ward 12 Brooklynite on today.
Excellent pick. Liam and I are both owners of that watch.
Liam, do you have one as well?
I do, yeah.
Oh, no way. That's awesome. I love that. We all have
Yeah,
one. It's cool.
it's a great watch.
Liam, what are you wearing?
Old Faithful. It's the Tudor Pelagos.
Excellent.
Two-liner.
Yeah, classic. Modern classic.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Christopher Ward C1 Belcanto today, which, Kat, you also own this exact watch.
I do,
so
yeah.
There's a lot of watch twinning, tripleting happening today.
We're all very influential on each other.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, I think for worse. I think we need to admit that's we gotta stop doing that. New Year's resolution article coming soon. And podcast, who knows? All right. Well, wrist check out of the way. Let's get right to the questions. No need to no need to delay. Kat, you've been keeping the questions for this round. We solicited from Worn and Wound Plus as always. Also YouTube. Did we ask Instagram this time around? Or
that's my bad.
That's
sorry,
okay.
Instagrammers.
Listen, Instagrammers, frankly, you haven't been asking great questions anyway. So let's just a call to action for our Instagram audience. Ask better questions in 2026.
Yeah.
Worn and Wound Plus and YouTube have been carrying the weight.
Yeah. Thanks to all of our Worn and Wound Plus members that have contributed all of this year and also just keep the conversation flowing over there. I need to hop in a lot more often than I do now, but we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, lots of good conversations happening in there. I have everything muted because I can't stand getting notifications, but I do drop in every once in a while. If you've tagged me in something or added me or whatever, and I haven't responded, I apologize. I got to focus on the stuff that pays the bills, so to speak.
No, that's a New Year's resolution for me, is to spend a little more time answering questions and
sure, yeah, me too. We'll engage a little bit more,
stirring the dialogue.
Well, listen, speaking of answering questions, how's that for a segue? Let's go. First question.
There's a lot of really fun ones. I'm going to start with a fun one here. Is Die Hard a true Christmas movie?
Oh, God.
I feel like we've answered this before.
I feel like we've had this question before. I feel like last year I answered it in a really snarky way because, frankly, I'm sick of this question. It's like the most over-discussed thing in movies. I think, yes, Mike. It is. Sorry. I mean, I think it is a Christmas movie, but I don't care about this dialogue anymore. We need to think of something new to discuss. Maybe I said this last year too, but my favorite Christmas movie that isn't like a traditional Christmas movie is Eyes Wide Shut. That movie takes place.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa,
that's just one of my favorite movies, but it takes place at Christmas. It's very, it's festive in its own way. It's about a family. It's a Christmas movie. It's great. Go watch Eyes Wide Shut on Christmas Eve. It's really a great piece of work. Liam, what do you think about Die Hard being a Christmas movie and the conversation around Die Hard being a Christmas movie?
I'm a Die Hard fan. I love that series. I love Bruce Willis. I hope he's doing well. And I think it's just fun. It's, Christmas time is just a great time to watch movies that make you feel good. And so this is one of those for me.
Yeah. Kat, where do you stand?
I am in the camp of this is a movie that takes place during Christmas, but is not a Christmas movie. So that's where I sit. Yeah.
Do you like the movie?
I love the movie. I just don't, when I'm putting up my 3-movie roster on Christmas Eve, what we're going to watch, like this isn't usually in that list.
What is on that list?
Usually like the Santa Claus.
A more literal Christmas movie list.
Yeah,
not something
and,
that's
and
Christmas adjacent.
Elf, and some of those. Home Alone is usually there,
great.
Either one or two.
Yep.
And those are the ones I want to see. I really have liked watching the Polar Express. I didn't love that movie when it first came out, and it's grown on me a lot.
I don't know that I've
enjoyed
seen
that one quite a bit now.
That one. Liam, what would be your like triple feature Christmas Eve movie night?
Wow. So Home Alone for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The live action Grinch with Jim Carrey.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah,
is a great one. I love that film, and probably Die Hard. Yeah.
There you go. What about you, Kazan?
Oh, just Eyes Wide Shut 3 times in a row, probably.
Triple feature.
Yeah, just to fully absorb it. Just spend 7.5 hours with Stanley Kubrick and Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
Is there a director's cut of that film as well?
Probably. No. I can't imagine.
It plays in my head when I close my eyes, but it's not really the director's cut.
Even when they're shut?
Yeah. Oh, man. You can go deep there. Love Eyes Wide Shut. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, always.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah.
Always.
Next question.
All right, let's jump into it. Oh my gosh, there's a lot. Here's an interesting one from Sean. Do you think there's a way to revive Fossil's watch business after their bankruptcy?
I mean, listen, I did not go to business school, so I don't know. It seems like to me, Fossil is just like they're like kind of the quintessential casualty of the smartwatch. Like that's sort of how I think of Fossil writ large, and like they didn't really do much to like adapt in an effective way to this like new era of like Apple Watch ubiquity. So
yeah,
I don't think so. I think that it seems like they're done, but I could be wrong. I'm not the right person to ask. Liam, do you have a sense of Fossil's future?
Honestly, this is the first I've heard of it. I don't keep that close to the news in that sense. But look, to hear it now and react to it live, I'm not surprised. I just think they didn't really do anything to advance enthusiast watches or fashion watches for that matter. And I think if they were to revive themselves, they would have to go back to square one and become they would have to reinvent themselves in a big way.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think you make a good point, Kazan, about the smartwatch really impacting their sales. Fossil for me, and I know they're a group that have other brands under them, but Fossil for me growing up was like every high schooler sort of saved up to buy a Fossil because that was probably the most expensive watch I know I owned as a 17-year-old, and going to the department store and spending, I don't know, $300 to $400 probably on a watch at that time. But I do think that, I think a lot of people are probably spending $300 to $400 now on an Apple Watch instead. And that's kind of what the kids want and what the mass market is asking for. So unless you really stand out from the crowd, like, some of these other brands can, it's a tough market. But I have a hard time seeing them kind of coming back, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, like I can remember when the Apple Watch debuted, and there were a lot of like think pieces about, this is the end of the watch industry. This is a game changing moment, and it turns out that like it wasn't like a game changing moment for the watch. And I mean, it was in certain ways, but it wasn't like the death of something. But for certain brands, it definitely was. For certain brands that kind of like sat in that sort of like, say like $300 to $700 range, about what you would spend on an Apple Watch, like they just, they couldn't compete with the functionality and like the kind of like the momentum of ubiquity that sort of, came with that product over the course of like, the first several years where, if you had like that much money allocated to a watch and you weren't a watch person, of course you're buying an Apple Watch. Like, why would you even look at anything else? It's like so accessible and useful. And I don't know. Like I said, didn't go to business school, so that's my layperson's analysis, I guess. But
that's very fair.
Yeah,
very
interesting
fair.
question. We'll keep an eye on the Fossil bankruptcy and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next question comes from Sven, and he asks, how important is the feel or action of a bezel for how you experience a watch? For context, he tried on recently a Breitling Super Avi Chrono GMT a while back and was about to pull the trigger until He felt the bezel action and it kind of felt cheap to him. So how important is that to the both of you?
Liam, you want to take this? You're wearing a watch right now that has one of the
really
best
good
bezel actions I can think of. How does that play into the calculus for you when you're making a purchasing decision?
I think for anyone who knows me relatively well knows that I'm an acolyte of haptics and tactile feedback. And so for me, the Tudor Pelagos has honestly one of the best. It's top 5 easily in haptics and feedback for all functions of the watch, including the bezel. The bezel is just really beautiful in terms of how it sounds, how it clicks. And for me, definitive. Like, if it has a crappy bezel action, I'm not buying it, honestly.
So what is a crappy bezel action to you? Like, this is something that I feel like is like pretty subjective, but people, okay. So yeah.
Mushy. Like you want a really distinctive click. And I think the polish on that is sort of the glide click. It's sort of the ramp up, the detent and the ramp down, I feel like is really important. So you get really clear, definitive feedback each time it clicks. So you can feel it even if you've got like a glove on or you've got cold hands or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kat, how do you feel about the importance of bezel action?
Very similar to Liam. It's a make or break for me on a dive watch, especially if I'm going to make a purchase. I had a friend here in Nashville named Josh, and at one point I had a Tudor Black Bay. I think this was maybe my Harrods that I had. Obviously, the Black Bay line is great too in their bezel action. And with his eyes closed, he could rotate the bezel and feel the ever so slight difference of when the 12 o'clock met sort of the loom pip met the 12 o'clock position, because it's so precise, and the ceramic, ball bearings I think that they use in that. Yeah, I think bezel action, it means a lot to me. And I think the other important one is probably clasp. I think that's another thing that I really look to. And if it feels cheap, it really kind of takes me away from wanting to purchase the watch. But those two things in particular are like really, really important in a watch purchase for me. What about you, Kazan?
I agree. I mean, I think it's a sign of quality. First and foremost, when a brand pays attention to something like the haptics of a bezel or a clasp, it to me, whether this is true or not is up for debate, but to me it signifies that they've like paid attention to everything else too. And it's just a sign of quality. And like when you're buying a luxury product, a product that you would hope would last for the rest of your life, that's important. And I think that I'm not like I own watches that have like what you would describe, Liam, as a mushy bezel action. I have my share of like Seikos and things like that are not up to the caliber of like a Tudor Pelagos or like my own Black Bay, for example. But you kind of like get what you pay for, and you sort of understand what you're getting into with a sub $1,000 diver. And so I don't want to like knock them too hard. You just kind of have to have an understanding of like what you're getting into. But yeah, if I'm spending like real money, like thousands of dollars on a luxury dive watch, then I want the bezel to be like satisfying. I do think it's interesting to kind of like interrogate what that means, because I think that there is like a certain subjectivity to that. Some people, like there's a debate about like 120 click versus 60 click, for example. People come down on both sides of that. But it's like it is important. You have to like it. You have to you have to like everything about it, or most things about a watch if you're spending that kind of money on it.
And I don't attach it to price point necessarily. I quite like, I have a Seiko SKX 013, and I really like the bezel action on that. And that's a, $250 dive watch. I think to me, it's just about my preference and sound and tactile feel, and if it's loose and all those sort of factors come into play. But I want to ask this next question just because it kind of piggybacks off of this one. This is from Jared. He was looking to make a purchase and then realized that the bracelet and the strap that comes with the watch has 0 micro adjust, and he's decided to kind of pass it by. What are deal breakers for you both when it comes to a watch purchase?
Deal breakers. I don't know that I have any like absolute total deal breakers, really. Like, it's hard for me to think of like...
It's relative to price for me. I don't know about you.
Speak on that. How is it relative to price?
It's like if it's a relatively inexpensive Seiko, I'm not expecting it to have a world-class clasp like a Pelagos or a Breitling or a Rolex or a Tudor for that matter. So I'm going to assess that a little less harshly than if I'm buying something that's $3,000 or more. I think there is a point of sort of a plateau where everything sort of above a certain price point should have a minimum level of quality. But anything below that, I think, that there should be watches for every price point, and that comes with different levels of quality. I think that's more than acceptable and should be.
Yeah.
But I think at a certain point, if the clasp and bracelet and strap doesn't sort of match the quality of like the head of the watch at a certain price point, then that's, to me, just a reason not to buy it.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I kind of, when I'm figuring out if I want to buy a watch, I'm always looking for, this just says something about me, I guess. I'm always looking for like excuses to buy it rather than like reasons not to buy it. Like I kind of like accept the faults for like what they are. And if I really love a watch, I'll focus on the things I like,
Right.
And that's why I think like the lack of micro adjustment on a bracelet has never really bothered me on any watch that I've actually bought, because I've bought those watches, because there were other things about them that like appealed to me more than the lack of micro adjustment kind of like deflated me. If that,
it's not a zero-sum game, right?
Yeah.
It's not like an all or nothing kind of purchase.
Yeah. So I don't think I really have a true deal breaker. Kat, what about you? Do you have any absolute deal breakers?
I don't think I do, honestly. I don't go into purchases with a checklist of things that I have to have. I'm really open-minded when it comes to purchases. I'm very impulsive by nature. I think for me, it's one thing that I guess can really get me to purchase a watch or kind of push me over the edge is seeing the watch on someone else. This is a great example. When we first saw the designs of the Brooklynite, I honestly wasn't really blown away by the images that we were given from the brand and some of the marketing, and seeing it at Wind Up like in person on Zach's wrist was like, oh, I love that watch, and getting to pick it up and play with it. And I didn't care if it had a micro adjust bracelet, and I didn't care if it had a screw down crown. It does
have a micro adjust bracelet though.
It does, which I didn't realize at first, which is super nice. That was kind of a cool feature to find out. But I'm not looking at all the details. I just know that like I want that thing. I don't even care about size. I don't care about thickness. All of that stuff goes out the window when my desire for something is just so strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I go into it. It's not a great. Don't follow my advice. I think you should look at things before you spend too much money on them. But I have this this notion of just trying things out before I judge them. So I do make a lot of purchases, and I buy and sell a lot of things, but it allows me to try a lot of new things.
Yeah.
And watches.
Yeah.
YOLO.
That's healthy. Well, maybe not healthy.
I don't know if it's healthy. I wouldn't say that. But
yeah, it's a strategy, I suppose.
It is a strategy.
Yeah.
It's my strategy. All right. So let's go to the next question here. Let's see. What is your favorite or most out there piece of non-watch related gear you received from a watch brand? What is your favorite or most out there piece? I don't know what that means. Maybe just something strange that we've been given from a watch brand as far as swag, maybe? Interesting.
Well, let me tell you, I'm knee deep in the holiday gifting swag right now. I mean, multiple packages a day from watch brands, and they're more at the office. I'm sure brands are very generous. I like the chocolates and the booze.
That's always nice.
Yeah,
the booze.
Yeah, not really. But so Hublot always sends. I hope they send it again this year. A bottle of champagne, which is
nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Usually comes between Christmas and New Year's, which is great. That's not an answer to the question, because that's a pretty kind of like quote unquote normal holiday gift. I've normalized it. Anyway.
Nor does it influence our editorial positions either. By the way,
of course not. Yeah, no. Listen, but we these are things that it's a perk of the job, but not not influential on the coverage, of course. Trying to think of like the weirdest thing. I'm drawing a blank. Like I mean, just this year, Tag Heuer sent like a board game like that I haven't really examined yet.
Interesting. That's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Lots of jigsaw puzzles in the past several years.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
as long as it's a good one. It's not like
I don't really do jigsaw puzzles. So like honestly, like I like to I like to give these things away to friends, watch friends, let someone else kind of enjoy them. I like to keep a pretty minimal kind of lifestyle here. I don't like a lot of stuff like accumulating. So yeah, I don't know. Liam, have you gotten any like weird the like gifts or swag from watch brands over the years? You've been in the industry a while, so
Yeah. There's been a number of different things that brands have sent over the years. One of them being a fondue pot.
That's cool.
Like a full-on
Classic.
fondue pot.
Yeah, interesting.
That was very unexpected, but very much appreciated. And that was actually from Panerai.
I was going to say, do you want to shout out the brand Panerai?
Yeah,
nice.
that was from Panerai. That was, I've never seen a brand do that before. I thought that was quite cool. And I think more, there's lots of different things that brands send, but I think a comment on that in general, I think brands that send things that are useful beyond sort of the initial reaction, I think are great. I don't like to see stuff go to waste. And so I don't like seeing needlessly branded things that aren't inherently useful or have sort of a wide appeal. While I think a lot of brands try and be very specific about what they send, that either to the brand or to the product that they launched that year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't have, usage beyond sort of, I guess, wide mass appeal, then I'm not usually a fan of that. Because I've been at Basel World and SIHH and Watches and Wonders and just seen bins and bins and bins full of swag that people have just tossed because it's just not useful. I know. It's really sad to see. So I think that's just an unfortunate side of our business.
Hotel rooms, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and I think chocolate's a great one. That's kind of universally loved.
Yeah.
Booze, you can always find someone who wants that. A lot of batteries. I feel like a lot of brands that for a while were doing portable batteries.
Oh,
that
that's
was
true.
Huge
yeah,
for like
charging your phones while you run trips.
From like 17 to 20.
The practical stuff like that, also like totes. I think we've talked about totes on the podcast. Where like that, those fall into the same
not
category.
Outrageously branded.
Yeah.
Like I have these sort of nylon totes that I got from the Vegas Couture Time show, and I think I've used those probably every week for the last 5 or 6 years.
That's
like
great.
They are the coolest bags. And to me, that is like a job well done. Like that's obviously not every piece of brand swag is going to perform like that for everyone, but I think that's the goal, Yeah. So I agree. Totes are great as long as they're kind of incognito. Like someone who knows will come up and ask you about it. Or if they just think it's an interesting, cool bag, they'll come up and ask you about it. But if it's horrendously branded with the brand logo, like more often than not, someone's not going to use it.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of using the totes for like luxury watch brands, like out in public. It's like to me, it's just like I don't know. There's just something like privately amusing. Like I have an H. Moser tote that I really like. It's just like it's a nice color. It's the right size. It's a nice material. And like I used that this morning to like when I went to FedEx. I was like shipping some holiday gifts last minute. And we're recording on the 22nd, so you can imagine my level of stress at the moment. And like I had these like gifts in my Moser tote, and I don't know why that like just made me smile, but it was just sort of, I don't know, it's just I like making use of these things, and like it's just sort of fun to like represent your industry in a subtle way, sort of like out in
it's a nice way to put it
in public. How about you, Kat? Any notable swag kind of like come your way?
Yeah, I have a couple of favorites. I was gifted some plates actually a few years ago, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the brand. They're sort of made either out of some sort of stone, and I think I actually broke one, but I have 2 left now, and they've just gotten so much use. I can't remember the brand. It was just an odd gift, but one that was extremely useful. Beautiful, beautiful plates, and then one that we got 3 or 4 years ago from Oris was like a wooden tray. They had stuffed it with, hot chocolate and a bunch of things one year. And maybe this was even during COVID when we couldn't get together with them for events. But I've used that wooden tray. I flipped it over and I've done photo shoots on the back of it. It's got a great texture to it. It sits on our ottoman downstairs. We're able to put coffee and stuff on it. It just has gotten a ton of use, magazines. So that tray was really, really cool. But I agree with Liam, things that are useful. I've gotten cool LED or black lights for loom and stuff like that. I use that for photo shoots all the time. Watch changing tools and stuff like that are branded are always nice to have because I can throw them in different bags, and when I travel I just have a set at all times. I love that. It's very kind that these brands think to send us stuff at the end of the year. The chocolates are always welcome in our house, but yeah, it's I guess a perk of the job for sure to get stuff here and there. I really appreciate it. I got some socks today from Citizen, which was really nice. I've never actually received socks before from a brand, and I was like, you can always use socks.
We need
in winter.
like a watch swag bingo card.
Yeah.
Just see if we can check it off at some point.
And honestly, I'll say like I say all this, 90% of what I receive, I actually just stick in a closet. And when I sell a watch, usually I throw something in there that's, never been used, obviously.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
I try to include that in gifts for people that buy watches from me. It's always a nice surprise when they are like, oh, cool, a Tudor hat,
Mm-hmm.
But I have a closet full of stuff at this point, so I have to give it away.
Hopefully that answered that person's question. I feel like we got on a tangent.
Yeah, we just rambled for like 10 minutes on swag.
That was great.
Yeah. That was,
but I don't think I've ever discussed watch swag with anyone before, so that was cool.
Yeah, for sure. And there was something cool I got this year. I did want to call this out. I guess it was given to me, but it wasn't like shipped to me. But when we were at Watches and Wonders in Geneva, we went to MB&F. Kazan, maybe you were with me? Maybe Weiss? Can't remember. They gave me a music album. Like they had albums that you could pick and walk away with.
Yeah, MB&F and Mad Editions were giving away records because the inspiration for the design of the Mad was like
record disc,
DJ,
cool
records.
Yeah, walked away with a cool album, which was fun. I really like that.
Love that.
All right, let's do a fun question. Eggnog or no eggnog? This is from Sean.
Eggnog.
Eggnog for sure.
Every day.
I love it.
No eggnog. I'm
no
Jewish.
Eggnog.
I didn't grow up in an environment where eggnog was being consumed, and I never never quite understood it. I've tried it.
Yeah,
I think it's quite disgusting.
I could say that about a lot of Jewish foods.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you
Sean
certainly
does
can.
ask. He asks what replaces it if you're no eggnog person. What replaces
latkes replace it.
I've never heard of that.
Fair replacement. Yes, that's a good swap.
What is that?
I mean, that's the holiday staple for us, and at Hanukkah time, potato latkes.
All right.
Not comparable to eggnog, but that is like the signature.
Holiday drink.
No, it's a potato pancake.
A food.
It's like
it's a food.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's like a hash brown cat.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They're delicious. I would love for you to go to like a Nashville diner and report back on the latkes.
I'll
it's like
have to put one down. I will.
We'll take you to a Jewish deli.
It's such a staple in the Northeast and like New York. Like the culture of Jewish delis is like like very apparent. You get out of that region and it becomes questionable very quickly.
Yeah,
I would imagine. But it's something that like in our family, people like kind of like fight over the recipes and like the methods and things like that. It's one of those kinds of things. There's like a lot of lore and history. Anyway, I'll let you guys fight about eggnog if you want to.
I'm happy to talk about latkes too. Honestly, I want to be there when Kat tries one with a little bit of sour cream or applesauce. Oof.
Wait,
I'm
applesauce?
Sour cream guy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's usually what it's served with.
Interesting. Okay, I'm open to try it. Yeah, excited.
Yeah, I was just at a Hanukkah party the other night with some family friends, and they had some freshly made latkes, and it was incredible.
It's the best.
Awesome. Sounds good. We'll have to bring some to the Christmas party. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Or post-holiday party, I should say.
That's a great idea. We should do that, actually.
Yeah. All right. So Alex asked, what advice do you have for someone that wants to get into writing watch journalism? What advice would you have, Kazan?
I would say, I mean, this is like really the kind of like dumb and obvious, but it's like the only advice that matters is to just like start doing it. Like to just sort of like, like make a blog or, create a TikTok, I guess, if you want. I'm not on TikTok. I meant Instagram. Create an account, like a social media.
Yeah. Get on social.
Account, like a venue for yourself to write about watches and just do it. And, do it without the expectation that anyone's going to notice or that it's going to turn into anything, and just sort of like keep doing it and find your voice and figure out your niche. And, writing is, it's a muscle, you have to keep doing it in order to be good at it, for any length of time. And I think the most important thing is to just kind of like exercise the muscle.
Yeah.
And then, like I've told the story before, but like the way that I sort of like got into doing it professionally is I just sent like blind emails and DMs to editors in the watch community. Virtually everyone ignored me. A handful of people, got back to me, including Ilya Riven, who was the managing editor at Worn & Wound at the time. And, thank God for that. But, like don't be shy about kind of like selling yourself when you feel confident in your abilities. But yeah, I would just start writing and like figure out what you like to write about and what you're good at writing about, and sort of just practice. That's sort of,
Yeah.
I don't know. Kat and William, do you guys have any additional thoughts?
Yeah,
on
I
that?
think speaking as someone who doesn't really do a ton of writing, I agree with you, Kazan. I think the more that you can write, the better off you are. It's a muscle memory thing. I get really out of practice, and I find that because I don't write often, when I do write now, it takes me quite a while. And I think just get your words out there, and not everything has to be perfect. And again, I think the more that you do it, the better you get. Yeah, I think creating Instagram accounts, maybe even a Substack at some point.
Oh yeah, sure, Substack, of course.
I think that's great to just kind of start garnering an audience. But I don't think I have much else to add beyond that.
I'd say meet the medium, meet people sort of where they're at, where they're consuming that kind of stuff as well. Be a little strategic about it. I think a lot of watch content these days is in short form video.
Yeah.
So if you have the capability to do that and practice it, I would also start there as well. Sort of try and blend the two together. Make videos a discovery route for your writing,
Sure.
or vice versa. So
yeah, that's good advice.
That's also where I'd probably look at too. Not just writing purely. If that's ultimately what you want to get into, I think that's great. But I think it's not sort of what brands are demanding as much of, I think, or at least initially to start, until you sort of build up a name for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good advice. Yeah, I think watch journalism, to your point, doesn't have to be written content. There's YouTube, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of avenues to take in the journalism world.
You can write a great script and then have an article to go with it, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say it's increasingly not written content. Which
it's
certainly something I have a lot of feelings about as a proponent of, like long form
written media,
written work. But yeah, that's just sort of a, the inescapable fact of the changing landscape of all media is that, I don't think it's accurate to say long form is dead. I think it's just sort of like it's fallen into like niche categories that, are being discovered, and more to come on that potentially. Yeah. But
I would say it's
an evolving landscape for sure.
Oh, for sure. And I think I would say it's become less of a primary medium and more of a supplementary medium. And I don't like to say that, but I think it's become more of a holistic package rather than one being really good at one particular thing. It's sort of becoming good at multiple different things, including writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Cool. Ready to move on to the next?
Yeah.
All right. There's so many good questions. It's actually kind of hard to field all these. I don't think
we'll do a part 2.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2 maybe in January and wrap up some of these because they're all really, really great. Okay, from Watch Girl Life, I believe this is Tish on our Slack channel. All brands keep increasing prices. This could mean cool watches in the $4,000 to $7,000 price bracket from brands like Tudor, Tag, Breitling, etc. Are brands at risk of losing fans based on cost versus value for the money? She just goes on. She says watches by design aren't significantly changing. I'm just adding a different bracelet or dial colors, and then could other brands overtake them in a few years? But overall, she's asking if a lot of these brands at risk of losing their fans based on that, on cost versus value.
And I think brands are always at risk of losing fans based on cost versus value. I think that we're in a moment right now where prices are on their way up, and people are very aware of that, and it's part of the conversation. So I think we're kind of like hyper fixated on, the quality to price question. And it comes up a lot. The first comment you see on every Instagram post introducing a new watch is they want $5,000 for that. They want, it doesn't matter how much the watch is, like, it's always too expensive. And that's been the case for a while now. So yeah, I think that brands are always at risk of that. I think the real, like the danger that we're in now is like, there really do seem to be a lot of watches that are more expensive for no real reason.
Yeah.
And like, not only that, the watches are like maybe not as good as they were like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, you really don't want to feel like when you're buying a luxury product that you're getting something that's less good than like the previous version, that like corners are being cut.
Yeah.
And I think that people are willing to spend money on watches. I mean, certainly like the data sort of like bears that out. But I think that like the consumer is becoming more educated and more discerning, and they're putting their money into watches and brands where there isn't a question of quality. And I think a lot of times they're turning to independent brands and small brands that are not as inclined to cut corners as a brand that's, owned by a huge conglomerate that's maybe publicly owned and, has to answer to shareholders and is just trying to squeeze maximum profit out of every watch that they sell. Not that small brands aren't also trying to do that, but there's, I think, a little bit more, I don't know, integrity maybe behind it. That's sort of the sense I get. And people are willing to put their money behind like a smaller outfit that's like where they feel like they're buying into like a philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. That's sort of how I see it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think she makes a point. She calls out Tudor and Tag and Breitling as brands that were, quite frankly, at one point or another under like the $5,000 mark, and now we're seeing those watches be like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000. And to her point here, from a dial change or a bracelet option, and yeah, I think there's a lot of competition now, and especially in the independent and micro brand space. I certainly feel sometimes my money is better spent going towards some of those other brands than the big names. But if the marketing ploy to those brands was accessibility and they're moving up market, then they're no longer completely accessible to a wide range of people that have that kind of budget they want to spend. A lot of people don't. I mean, internally, even I have like a, I would say $5,000 to $8,000. Like, I don't really want to spend more than that on a single watch. And I like to have multiple watches, but like that's just like in the back of my mind. I don't really want to go over that. And I think a lot of people have that threshold internally. So where do you look when these brands are starting to be more and more expensive? I think independence. I think I'm looking at a watch I'm wearing today, like the Christopher Ward 12, and how cool this is, and the price point that this watch is compared to a very basic diver from Omega, and I think those are great comparisons to make, and I think it's really cool, and we can lead into innovation with micro brands now and independents making really cool stuff at an accessible price point. I think the big dogs should be scared and worried, and I think that a lot more mainstream media is talking about watches. I see GQ every other week with a watch article. That's amazing to see. Watch articles in Men's Health and other magazines that are huge, and the publication is huge. And I think more and more people are learning about watches. Yeah, it's cool to see the shift and the change that's happening out there. But yeah, she asked if other brands could overtake these big players. I think so in the next few years for sure.
Yeah, no brand is completely safe, I think.
Yeah, what about you, Liam? What do you think?
I think that there's a lot at play. I think it's really almost impossible to chalk it up to one thing. I would say that to, I guess, challenge you, Zach, I think that there is no reason. I think there's a lot of reasons. One in particular is supply chain. I think as the global economies shift and that these brands are buying raw materials from places, and, if they have to pay more for something, the production cost goes up, everything sort of downstream from that goes up as well. So I think that's one factor. I think also inflation as well. I think similar to housing, our wages aren't going up relative to the cost of inflation, especially when it comes to houses, of course. But I think that also applies to watches to some degree as well. I think these brands have to increase their prices to either meet, stakeholder goals, or like to increase their margins, or to cover up for rising costs in the supply chain and things like that. Or maybe they're trying to reposition themselves in a different market segment, and they've maybe exhausted sort of the level that they're at, and they're looking to move up a tier. While I think that's really sad for consumers who are big fans of whatever brand that may be, I don't think it's not up to you, unfortunately. And, it's okay to be upset about that, but also like you really can't do anything about it either. So I think the other component of it is that buying a watch is extremely emotional. It's an emotional purchase. I would say it's 99% an emotional purchase. And there's because a watch is anachronistic. We don't necessarily need it in today's age, not the way that we needed it, 50, 60 years ago. So I think when you see something that you really want, and it was a certain price at some point and now it's not, and you can't have it anymore, I think, that affects people emotionally. And, watches are status symbols for some people, and they're also objects of desire and things like that. So yeah, I think it can really make you feel a certain way.
Yeah. I guess, no, I think those are all really good points. And I don't disagree with anything you said about the supply chain, inflation. These things obviously have an impact on price. The point I would just make is that, from a consumer's point of view, I think people who have been around for a little while can remember, the before times. They want to see material difference in a Speedmaster, let's say.
Oh, for sure.
That they can remember paying, $5,000 for. That's now nearly twice the cost. And yes, it has the new Speedmaster has a better movement, nicer bracelet. Omega's a huge company. They've amortized that cost, over the course of, producing many, many watches over many, many years. Is the white dial Speedmaster really like a, watch that's worth, $3,000 or $4,000 more than the black dial version from 5 or 6 years ago? I mean, I love the white dial Speedmaster. And I certainly feel the pain of, any company dealing with rising costs, but to your point, it is an emotional decision. And part of the, one emotion that you feel when you're buying a watch is sticker shock sometimes.
For sure.
So that's a real thing that brands have to grapple with and figure out ways to show value in these things, even if it's just a marketing trick. Honestly, they need to figure that out. That's
the point that I was going to make now, just based on what you said, is that a lot of brands, I think Grand Seiko is probably a good example of that, is changing their prices to reposition themselves instead of the market stack. I feel like they're moving up market. They're making less watches sort of sub 5,000. They're sort of reducing their SKUs. And I think they want to be seen as a brand that's more akin to Rolex, Omega, those kinds of brands. And there's kind of no nice way to do that. You kind of either have to do it, and then there's that initial pain and reaction to people who love the brand and have bought a watch maybe at $3,000 or $4,000 less than what they are now. And now they're not that price anymore. And that stings. But I think for anyone who maybe new customers coming into the game, it's oh, that's just the price that it is. And I guess another point there is that I think in order to be taken seriously as a luxury brand, sometimes you need to charge a certain amount.
Yes.
Because if everyone can buy it, then it doesn't really have the same cachet.
Yep. That's 100% true. That's a very real factor for sure.
Yeah.
Really good question. I think that's
as a consumer, a way to kind of work around these price inflations too is to, I know this is always difficult to do, but to try to buy used, try to look for products in a pre-owned market, because to your point, because in the white dial Speedmaster pre-owned, it's sitting around the same price and value as the black dial when you buy it used in used condition. And I think a watch is only as valuable as what someone's willing to pay for it. And
exactly,
we have all these companies, the Tudors and the Omegas and the Tags, Breitlings even, who, and Grand Seiko's in this as well, that lose a ton of value in the pre-owned market. And you kind of can get rid of that inflation price by purchasing used. I know it's not always easy for people, and you could be really hesitant if you've never done it before, but that's usually my go-to for anything. It's rare that I purchase something brand new. Very, very rare. Unless it's something like I'm wearing today, like a limited edition. But I always hunt down pre-owned prices. I think there's so many great deals to be had there. So that's my recommendation if you want to try to get around those price increases as much as possible. Less so with the more rare stuff and the independents. I think they're holding their value, funnily enough, more than these brands. Yeah. All right. Well, we got time for a couple more. I think quite maybe a handful more. From Sean, he heard on a recent podcast that Jerry Seinfeld speaks about a car that he got that was so good that he felt like he no longer needed 4 other vehicles in his garage. So Sean asked us, have we ever gotten a watch that has made multiple or other watches in our collection seem obsolete because you lost interest because this one watch was so good? Do either of you have a watch in your collection or have had a watch in your collection that's had that effect?
I'm going to say demonstrably no. I think I can't really. I mean, there's certain. I mean, I guess I've experienced redundancies in my collection at certain points, but all watches are kind of similar. If you go to a high enough level, so this isn't really something that I've come across. We all make the calculation when we're bringing something new in, if we need to get something, remove something from the collection to fund it, like we try to, we look for those redundancies, but I can't recall having a Seinfeld like reaction as described in that question. How about you, Liam?
No, I'm the same as you. I buy watches for many different reasons. I have many watches that do exactly the same thing and look really similar. But I mean, as I've said before, a lot of watches are really tied to sort of a time and place or an emotion or an experience. So I don't mind if they look the same. But that's not to say that I won't wear a watch more often for a long period of time, just because it is so universally wearable. And I mean, the Pelagos is a great example of that. I think I've spoken about that so many times this year, but it is a watch that gets the most wrist time for me because it is so utilitarian and it does a lot of things. But yeah, that doesn't stop me from having the other ones that I do as well. Makes them more enjoyable to wear, if anything else, because I don't wear them as often.
Yeah.
How about you, Kat?
I think this is a lie that I particularly tell myself often
really
is like, I'm gonna purchase this and it's gonna make me so happy that I can sell these other watches or I won't need to wear them as much anymore. It's just a lie. And I've told myself this lie multiple times over my watch collecting journey. I will say when I bought my Rolex Submariner back in maybe 2020 or 2021, I bought it brand new and that watch for me, it's certainly, I just wore it all the time. And I thought, this can't really be beat. It's just so good. And I ended up moving it for kind of that reason where I really just wasn't wearing other watches in my collection. And I just felt like I was kind of in this like boring state of just wearing the Submariner all the time. And I got rid of it. And it's not that it was a bad watch. It's not. It was an incredible watch. But I felt like I wanted to try other things for a while. And I may, come back to that watch at some point later on down the line. But yeah, there's certainly watches that I wear a lot of. But I don't know if it's really possible to have the one thing that, you'll lose all your other collecting interest or enthusiasm for everything else. I think it's just like a pipe dream kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's good for Jerry though,
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Good for that.
I wonder what the car was that he bought. Probably incredibly rare. Something.
Yeah, I'd love to know what that car is. Actually, I'll look that up later. But I was going to say that ties into the conversation we had about the one watch collection. I feel like there's a lot of overlap there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Let's go to a fun question. We have some.
They're all fun, Kat. What are you talking about?
These are all fun, but these are especially fun. What's a new movie or a TV show that you're most looking forward to in 2026? We're all pretty.
Oh, I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah, I know.
The new Spielberg movie looks cool.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Spielberg, Aliens, Emily Blunt.
Oh, what's the Nolan movie?
The Odyssey.
Odysseus? Oh, The Odyssey, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw Avatar, the new Avatar over the weekend.
Yeah.
Which sucks. God, man.
No.
I hated it. I remember having like a good time at the first two Avatar movies.
Yeah.
But man, this one was such a slog. I'm so over the like video game cutscene style graphics. Like after seeing like a handful of movies in like 70 millimeter over the course of the last few years, like that's the visual spectacle I'm interested in. And that's like what the Odyssey is going to be. And like the reason I mentioned Avatar is because they had like a 6-minute preview of the Odyssey in front of IMAX presentations of the new Avatar movie, which is
cool.
I don't know if it's like worth the price of admission to see that. It's very, very cool though.
Yeah.
And by far the best part of my Avatar experience was seeing that like extended trailer. So, yeah. I mean, come at me in the comments if you want to defend Avatar, I suppose.
I don't think you'll have any.
What a steaming pile.
So here's something that's kind of funny. When you posted about your screen time with the Avatar movie, Kazan, I didn't even know that movie came out. The marketing on it is like not great. I didn't even know it came out in theaters. It was just like shocking to me.
I feel like there isn't as much excitement for this one as the one that came out like 3 years ago, which had there was like a 13-year gap between the original and the new one, or the second one, I should say. And now there's just a 3-year gap. So I think that like the specialness of it, like the novelty of it, has like really worn off. And like I said, I think that like this type of computer generated special effects type thing, it's just like it's the best example of it. Like it looks very good for what it is, but like the people are more into like they understand and appreciate like the practical effects more now. it's not dissimilar from like the way watch consumers are more educated and like gravitate towards smaller brands and indies and things like that. Moviegoers the numbers have dwindled, and they're more and they're more discerning. They're more interested in like the stuff that's like, technically, like the craft of it.
The craft of it, yeah.
And I don't know.
No, I agree. Recently watching the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, and I think there was a lot of interviews I watched where that was a big topic of conversation, is that he did so much practical effects in this movie, where he could, obviously not everything, but going backwards a little bit in terms of not relying on CGI so much, just because everyone's sort of sick of it now. I agree, but I have not seen the second Avatar yet, so I'm a little bit behind.
You could just watch the third because it's basically the same thing. It's really a retread. I mean, to answer the question, I think like the Odyssey and this new Spielberg movie, Disclosure Day, I think it's called. Those are the things
I'm excited.
Kind of like most on my radar. Liam, you're a big movie fan. What are you looking forward to?
I'm just looking at my upcoming list. There's actually not a lot of movies on there that I've
going to be a big franchise. There's a lot of like, I mean, there's a new Avengers movie.
I saw that.
About a year from now. Not watching any of that crap.
Are they doing it
on my list at the moment? I've got the drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya.
That looks good.
Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Got John Wick 5.
Oh gosh.
And a movie called Hokum by Damien McCarthy. It's about a horror novelist that visits a remote Irish inn to spread his parents' ashes, unaware that the place is rumored to be haunted by a witch.
Right up my
alley. I bet it is.
Yeah.
Haunted by a witch.
And you've got Adam Scott, Peter Coonan.
Interesting.
Who else is in that? Yeah.
Pretty cool. I believe, Kazan, we have a Flanagan movie next year. Carrie, he's working on that project now.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's a next year release. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, so as we record this, we still got like a week or so left in 2025, and I'm kind of like piecing together my top 10 list for the year, and like I Am Chuck sort of like came up in or Life of Chuck, not I Am Chuck. I'm conflating.
Life of Chuck, yeah.
But we did a time on screen for Life of Chuck over the summer. Still one of my favorite movies of the year.
So, me too.
It's really, really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, let's do one more. Well, I guess maybe we'll end on this since it's sort of related. What is your favorite television show or movie of this year? I'm sure we'll do our Oscar podcast in early January, February next year.
Yeah. I mean, one
or a favorite book. They threw in a book too. Sean threw in a book. If you've read it, I haven't had any time to read this year.
My favorite movie by far, I think, is One Battle After Another.
Yeah,
that's.
I agree.
I've spoken about it. It's great, just fantastic movie going experience. Loved it.
Just awesome.
Yeah,
so good, so much fun. What about you, Liam?
Favorite movie of the year? I don't know. That's a tough one. I've watched, I think it looks like 69 movies this year.
Were they all released this year?
No, not all released this year.
Those are rookie numbers, Liam. Got to get those numbers up.
Well, I've got a kid, so.
No excuse.
No excuses.
So, clearly. I really enjoyed Together with Dave Franco and Alison Brie. I thought that was a really, really great, interesting horror film. Same with Companion with Jack Quaid. I thought that was a really interesting concept. And I just watched a movie last night that I was telling Zach about earlier, and it's called It Ends, and it was made on absolute shoestring budget down in Florida. Sorry, but it is probably one of the most unnerving films I've ever watched in terms of its sort of, Lovecraftian kind of cosmic sort of horror feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about it.
The name sounds familiar to me. I don't know why. Yeah, One Battle After Another for sure, and Life of Chuck. I think those two take it. I'm trying to think of shows that I feel like I did watch a lot of television this year.
I'll go ahead and wrap once again, Families Like Ours on Netflix. Probably my favorite show of the year. I think technically it was a 2024 show in, I believe, Norway is where it premiered. But this was the year it came to Netflix, and just great. Just one of my favorite things of the year. Also Pluribus, which is on Apple TV Plus, and fantastic. Great show.
Oh, The Pit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Such a good show. That was highlight of maybe this summer.
I really enjoyed it. Welcome to Derry. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal.
I gotta
I haven't
finish
seen
that
that
one.
yet. I might check that out over break.
It was really good. The opening credits I also am just obsessed with.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through, Liam. I have to finish that one out.
Yeah, it was great. I feel like it didn't feel derivative. It felt like it kind of just added to the universe. And without hopefully not giving anything away, the crossover between sort of Steven, his universe of writing with other films that he's written. So, you'll see that in there too.
Yeah.
It's a good
Cool.
one. I'm currently watching The Beast in Me on I think Netflix with
Claire
Matthew
Danes
Rhys and Claire Danes. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's going to be a favorite. Like I said, I'm about halfway through of that one, but it's been pretty engaging. I've enjoyed watching it.
I got about halfway into that and bailed.
Okay.
I was into it for the first couple episodes, and then I sort of lost interest. And I like everyone involved, but it just didn't quite hit for me. Maybe I'll return to it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
Yeah. No, please do. And listeners, get involved. Tell us your favorite things.
Yeah,
to watch.
this has just turned into a time on screen episode.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'll shout out also Stranger Things. I think obviously we'll get a new batch of episodes here shortly, but it's been pretty good, pretty exciting this season.
I do not care about Stranger Things at all. I've never been interested in that show. I've never been part of I've never got on that particular bandwagon. Not that it's a bandwagon. I just not my thing. But hey,
totally.
I
get it.
You like what you like. It's important to enjoy things in life. I'm not here to, you feel like that's your thing.
Perusing through some of the upcoming movies of next year, I saw that there will be Blade Runner 2099.
Oh, wow.
Who's making that?
Ridley.
Really? A new Ridley movie? That man is in his 80s and still just going
He's
so hard.
If you look at his upcoming and in production lists, it's a mile long.
I rewatched
Wow.
the first half of House of Gucci recently because it's back on Netflix, and man, what a moment that was. So good. Everyone just full camp. Just love it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, really great. Terrible Italian accents.
It's like my favorite. It's one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. I do really enjoy watching that one. Yeah, I do.
There's
it's
no
fun.
guilty pleasures. You gotta be okay.
They're all pleasures.
Yeah, just only pleasures. Only pleasures in 2026.
Yeah,
guys, I think we did it. We answered a lot of questions. I think we're ready to put 2025 podcasting to bed. This is my final. I think our final podcast recording of the year. But nothing else on the calendar. Feels good. Feels good to be done.
Wrapped.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
I know we're all thinking about the last minute things we have to do before we can actually say we're wrapped. By the time listeners hear this, we will have been wrapped and we'll be enjoying a much needed break. I hope everyone listening is enjoying a break. We had a great time podcasting with all you all year. Thank you for your dedication and listening. It's been a blast, and we can't wait for 2026.
Yeah,
Kat, Liam, appreciate you guys being on the show.
You.
And
thank you.
We'll see you guys again very soon for another episode of the Warner Loud podcast. Until then, take care.